Ever felt like no matter how hard you tried, you were always a little bit behind? You wanted to focus, but your brain wouldn't listen. You cared deeply, but forgot things that mattered. You'd promise yourself, I'll do better next time, and then watch yourself repeat the same mistakes. And each time, you blamed yourself a little more. You were called lazy, careless, irresponsible. You started believing it. But the truth? You were never lazy. You were fighting a battle no one could see. That's what growing up with undiagnosed ADHD feels like. It's like driving a car with 1,000 horsepower and no steering wheel. You feel everything, too much, too fast, all at once. Your brain craves stimulation, but the world calls it distraction. You're told to just try harder, but effort was never your problem. Control was. As a child, you were punished for symptoms you couldn't name. You learned early that mistakes equal disappointment, that you were too much or not enough, that your energy made people uncomfortable. So you started adapting, masking, faking normal. You built entire personalities out of apology. You became the funny one, to hide your chaos, the quiet one, to stop being a problem, the people pleaser, because rejection felt like death, and the perfectionist, because if you could just do everything right, maybe they'd finally stop being disappointed. But every mask costs energy, and by the time you reached adulthood, you were running on fumes, smiling through burnout, joking through anxiety, hiding a brain that never learned to rest. That's the hidden psychology of undiagnosed ADHD. You don't just grow up misunderstood, you grow up misprogrammed. Your brain learns survival through shame. Your self-worth becomes tied to performance. And when you finally can't keep up, you collapse. Not from weakness, but from exhaustion. You were never built to fit into the system that kept judging you. Your brain was designed for intensity, creativity, curiosity, not obedience. But when you spend years being told you're wrong, you start policing your own mind. You second-guess every decision, you replay every mistake. You live in a constant loop of why can't I just focus? And that's where the anxiety begins. Because deep down, you know you can do more. You just don't know how to stop fighting yourself long enough to try. Here's the truth most people never hear. ADHD isn't a lack of attention. It's attention that never learned where to rest. It's a brain built for survival, running on overdrive in a world that demands calm. That same restless energy, it's what makes you creative, passionate, magnetic. It's the spark behind your humor, your empathy, your ideas. You feel deeply because your brain sees deeply. The problem is, you were punished for your gifts before you understood them. And that's why so many adults with undiagnosed ADHD don't just struggle with focus, they struggle with identity. You grew up thinking you were broken, when you were actually brilliant in a different language. Healing begins the moment you stop calling it a flaw. When you realize your inconsistency was never carelessness. It was burnout from trying to be someone you weren't. When you stop chasing normal and start mastering your rhythm. Because when someone with ADHD learns how their mind works, everything changes. The chaos becomes creativity, the impulsivity becomes courage, the sensitivity becomes intuition, and maybe for the first time, you stop needing to prove you're enough, because you finally understand you always were. You weren't meant to move like everyone else. You were meant to move differently, faster, louder, deeper, and that's not disorder, that's design. You were never the problem. You were the misunderstood blueprint for a kind of mind the world wasn't ready to teach. So if this is you, the child who couldn't sit still, the adult who can't shut their brain off, the person who still feels guilty for not fitting in, you don't need to fix yourself. You just need to stop apologizing.